My legacy, man, it comes down to how many coaches I've helped. I've had 3-4 coaches become head coaches. How many kids that I've helped go to school to get a degree. That's what I'm excited on.
How do you live with those decisions as a coach?
85% of our kids, seniors, have gone off to school, going off to college. The other 15% go to firefighter school, HVAC school, military. We got pretty much 100% of placement after high school. North Miami is a B-rated school heading towards an A. When you talk about coaching staff that cares about your kid, we feed them every day. We keep them out of trouble doing the summer. We keep them out your household doing the summer. They with us the whole day. That's what we do on 135th.
What happens when a coach loses his uncle on game week, steps off the plane from a funeral, and still leads his team to victory in the biggest rivalry game of the year? Today, we sit down with a man who turned personal pain into program triumph.
We have a coach, Pete Carroll, Super Bowl, 1 yard line. Instead of running the ball, he made a different call. The team got dismantled and Seattle has never been the same. We just had a big game, the UM game. A lot of people blame the coach. How do you live with those decisions as a coach?
I still have one I live with. Playing against Northwestern when I was at my last school. We were up late in the game. We kicked off the ball. They returned it to their 35. We got a personal foul penalty, pushed it to the 50. It was 10 seconds left on the clock. They're going deep. We're down to our third, fourth string corner.
Welcome to Jules Legacy Enterprise Productions, where dreams become a reality. Today we have the pleasure to interview North Miami's head football coach, Gerald Cox. Gerald, I do want to tell you, thank you for the opportunity. And Coach Cox, what was your upbringing like?
Man, hey, I appreciate you guys for having me, man. My upbringing, man, I was product of a single parent household. I won't say all my life, but most of it from, I want to say maybe third grade on, man. My mom was an educator. She was a English teacher, yearbook sponsor, the Golden Girl creator over at Northwestern. My mom don't get credit for it. That's where a lot of my humbleness comes from, man.
Yeah,
my mom created the Golden Girls at Northwestern. And she became assistant principal, became a long-time principal she was a principal at Carroll City High, Carroll City Middle. And she finished at Hibiscus Elementary as a principal. So I grew up, man, as her only baby. And she surrounded me with a lot of people that I call my brothers and my sisters, my God brothers, and sisters that I call my family because that's all I had. So she surrounded me with a lot of those people, and man, she did the best thing she could was keep me on track, keep me away from the mess, and keep me focused on what I needed to do. So it's a lot. I owe a lot, man, to her. She made it hard for me though in Dade County, though, I would say, because her name and the things that she did. Man, it makes it hard everywhere I go. Everybody knows her. Like, oh man, you miss Cox, son. Oh, you miss Cox. And I have to remind her, hey, I said, hey, I'm me now. So, but I owe her a lot, man. And she did her dollar, so to speak.
So Coach, you were born and raised in Miami, right? And you were introduced to football by your father, right? I wanted to ask you, how did that shape the love for the game for you?
Well, early on, like I said, my dad was around. Early, I'm not going to take that from him.
Yeah.
He became a coach over at the park, North Dade Park.
Yeah.
Along with my godfather, Mr. Spencer. They were all coaches at North Dade Optimism. My god brother, Harry Spencer, was also playing there. So I used to go run there all the time, and that was a park around the neighborhood. So we went there, man. I fell in love with football just because I knew kind of I was athletic. Well, I fell in love with sports. I played all sports.
You say you was the athletic coach?
I was athletic, man. I'm still athletic. Just these knees sometimes give out on me. But
what you ran on the 40, Coach?
My good days.
Oh, your good days.
I was a 4.38 guy.
That's pretty fast.
Days I was a 4.38.
That's really pretty fast.
Yeah, I was. Like I said, these knees just don't move like that no more. But I played football, basketball, baseball. T-ball, rather. You know, I ran track. I was a long jumper growing up. You know, so I was always involved. Football just kind of tailored to me because my dad, when he became the coach, we created a Pee Wee team.
Yeah.
Because the numbers were so big that he was like, man, let's create our own just so we can have enough room for all the kids to play. And I was a Cowboy fan at the time, big Emmitt Smith guy. So I was following all those. So I was like, man, let's name it the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So we named it the Cowboys. It was North Dade Cowboys. I wore number 22. I was a running back then. It was before I transitioned to DB later on in life. But he was the head coach. And that was an opportunity, man. The play for him was cool, you know. But after that, he went on and joined the military, and then his whole other life took off, and I just continued doing football, you know. And basketball I was too short. To just be honest,
Yeah, I mean, I was insane basketball.
Hey, man, I got a Northwestern, and we were doing during the summer we were doing workouts, and I got to looking around like all these dudes here 6 foot or taller, man. I'm 5'7", 5'8". What I'm doing this? So I said, man, nah, I'm just gonna go ahead and just deal with football, man. So my last time playing basketball was going in the 9th grade.
Yeah,
you know,
wow.
So.
Coach, you come from a family of teachers and leaders. How did that shape your coaching style?
Oh man, it shaped because I got numerous leadership styles.
Okay,
you know, I've learned how to vary it based on the kids. I've learned how to be compassionate too, you know, more than anything. So it just helped me identify the different traits of kids and the different personalities that I may come across in this thing. So it made me a people person without people thinking I'm a people person. You know, because I had my godmom was a science teacher, and she was strict. My mom was the English teacher, but saved almost every kid that she came across. Yeah. And then my other godmother was a math teacher. She's the designer though. She has an art degree. You know, so that's a crazy thing. She has an art degree in teaching math, which is similar to me. I have a business degree and I'm teaching math. You know, so it's just those things I just learned how to adapt quicker to by seeing them. And, you know, and like I said, I've been in education so long, man. It's a lot of things that I know that people would look at me like, how do you know that? Right. Because I was signing off on payroll when I was 6. You know, so I know how to mesh those numbers and all that stuff. So it's just, man, it was a blessing. It was a blessing to still even be around them now and have them in my life as well.
Yeah. Coach, as a fan, right, we perceive the game differently. So when we actually watching the game, we see it one way, right? Walk us through your mind as far as when you put in these plays together, and when you standing there on the field. Walk us to what's going through your mind and how do you see the game?
Oh, it varies. That varies game to game,
right?
And it varies personnel to personnel.
Yeah.
You know, because you can be in certain games and go in with one mindset and get in the game and say, oh no, that's out the door,
right?
Because this happened. And I remember when I was at North Miami, we was playing Gulliver.
Okay.
We had a whole good scheme coming in. I was like, okay, yeah, they normally have this, they normally have this. Well, they started 2 quarterbacks were out.
Wow.
And they started a freshman at quarterback. So now I'm sitting over there, I'm like, man, it's a freshman at quarterback. This man, he don't know nothing what he doing. Man, so what I went in there thinking I was going to do, the game plan that we had, we still had it in place, but I probably brought more pressure than I normally would on that. I probably did some things differently on the back end more than I normally do because I knew he wasn't going to be able to read it yet. You know, so again, it goes off of what guy they have over there. So if I know you have a quarterback that's through the roof,
right?
Oh, I'm gonna play you totally different than this team that didn't have a quarterback. Yeah. You know, as well as if I know you got a good run game, I'm gonna play you totally different than than this team that has a good passing game.
Right.
You know, so those things as a coach, you got to be able to recognize by watching film and doing your research on them. You know, so I spend a lot of time, and I get on my coaching staff because I look up at our time on film, and I be like, man, I still got more time than y'all. Y'all need to look at more film. You know, but they always say, Coach, we not gonna be able to.
Right.
You know, they really not, man. You know, my little son that's 4. That was the one time that I knew we had a bond early on because he used to cry when he came in my arms. We sat outside in my little man cave, I call it. I'm watching film. And he was quiet. And I said, man, I got one. You know, but so for me, I'm always gonna have that. My wife knows that. You know, I'm gonna watch film. So, you know, the breakdown of it, you know, I know how to adjust off of my defense to counter whatever you think you're gonna counter me with. You know, I'm always thinking 5 steps ahead or try to.
Right.
You know, there's some good offensive coordinators out there, some good, you know, on the offensive side, when I help them out, there's some good defensive coordinators out there. So you got to be able to adjust a little bit more than the normal. And that's where I think we've been successful at, you know, at my team as head coach throughout my different spots.
Yeah. So, Coach Cox, you mentioned that you played for, you know, Miami Northwestern when you was in high school. We know the biggest rival is basically Central versus the West, right? You know, that's like the biggest rival at Trash Power, right?
That's now.
So it wasn't like that back then?
To be honest, it became like that when I was at Central. 2000.
So you played at Central too?
No, I coached at Central.
Oh, you coached at Central, okay.
Coached at Central. So that was 2008, 9. When I went there, we had to, in order for Central to be on top, we had to go through Northwestern.
Yeah.
And that's where that rivalry really, truly kicked up to be where it is now. Prior to that, Northwestern rivalry was Jackson and Carroll City.
Yeah.
You know, Carroll City was probably our biggest rival back then when I was in school. You know, then Booker T came later, you know, because Booker T wasn't back to being a high school towards, I think they came back where my mom was a vice principal there. They came back 2000, 2001. And then they slowly got into football. But, you know, it was really Carroll City and Jackson back then.
Yeah.
Now this
is the West percent, and it's different. Like it's packed out.
But it like I said, that game used to be played at FIU South.
Oh wow!
You know, we played at FIU South one time. We played in the Hard Rock. We played that game.
You played at the Hard Rock before?
Yeah,
Ooh.
we played that. We played Booker T there too. You know, so it's been some good battles. You know, we both were 2 talented teams at the time. You know, I tell everybody, I coached against Teddy Bridgewater. I coached against Michael Lee, who's a coach at Wofford.
Wow.
Yeah.
Coached against Amari Cooper. You know,
wow.
And
the running back, Texas A&M, right?
Nah, he was a wide receiver that I think this last year. I'm not sure who he played for, but he's played for the Cowboys.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
So I brag all the time. I had a DB that held him to 1 catch for 5 yards.
Damn.
So, you know, you talk about a Hall of Fame
Of course.
guy.
Of course.
And I've had DBs that lock those guys down. So, you know, I kind of brag about that every now and then. Not too much.
Coach, that was going to be my next question. I wanted to know as far as which players, as far as you either coach or you had an impact on that actually made it to the NFL or that made it that far?
Oh, man. So you're talking about, man, I've been coaching now. I've been coaching now 20 years.
Wow.
I started out, my first DB was Robert Sands. That was my first defensive back that was big time. And that was my first year.
Wow.
That was at Miami Carroll City. He was top 5 safety in the nation.
Right.
And I coached him. He went on, did some time in, back then that was NFL. I think it was NFL Europe. A little early on, he did that, and then he played, I think, Canadian football for a while. After that, at Central, Charles Gaines ended up, he was a wide receiver that took some time at DB, but he ended up making it to the league off of playing defensive back. So he played for the Jags for a little bit on their practice squad. Darrell Estridge, who also turned into a DB on the next level. He played, I think he finished out of Arizona, played for a while there. Ahmad Thomas ended up playing for the Packers, Green Bay Packers. He was our safety at Central. After that, I had a couple guys that made it to college Matter of fact, this guy who I got on championship swaggers on, Calvin Bruin. He went to Florida State and then graduated at Old Dominion.
Nice.
Man, my list can go on right now. Right now, I got 2 guys that's playing in the Canadian Football League, Terrell Bonds and Dietrich Nichols.
Nice.
They both, matter of fact, they play for Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So I was able to see both of them on the field at the same time.
Wow.
And man, it's so special to see those guys, man. But I tell the kids now, I'm more proud of the kid that I had, DeJuan Hunt, who probably could have made it to the league, went to Purdue, but he's more successful to me than a lot of those guys, along with Dietrich Nicholas too, because of the life they have off the field.
Yeah.
Dietrich Nicholas is a heck of a father, husband. So I see him all the time. Terrell, the same thing. I see them with their kids. And DeJuan left college, had his car paid for,
Wow.
his house paid for. What else can you
Ask for?
You ask for.
Yeah.
So I'm more proud of him than any of those things. Now, I'm proud of all the guys. I'm proud of Dalvin. I'm proud of James. I'm proud of all those guys. But I talk about DeJuan Hunt probably more than all of them because he left college with a mindset of, I'm not going to have any debt. I'm going to own everything I have. And I'm going to go work for this company and make a lot of money.
Wow.
So I to me, that's living. He's able now to do things, man, to me more than all the rest of them. And he's still single a little bit, so he can kind of have some fun, But I look at, again, those guys, Dietrich and Terrell and Darrell and CJ, all those guys, they also got families, And I've always said I want to teach or coach guys to become better men of society.
Of course.
So it's more than football with me. And so to see all those guys with their families and to see them taking care of business and they not in jail, I love it.
Of course.
And it hurts me, man. I've buried a lot of kids that did play for me, going to their funerals. It hurt, So just to see the ones that are successful, man, I relish in it. And I tell them all the time, man, I'm proud of you.
Good.
I'm proud of you for what you are and for who you are as a man.
Coach, how do you manage all those personalities? We're talking about people that come from different background, right? Mm-hmm. Have different mindsets, right? And different upbringing. And all these personalities come into one room.
On one team.
One team, and then sometimes you have these ego people that comes inside. It's just they think they're bigger than the team, right?
In the program.
So how are you able to coach all these personalities and to accomplish one goal?
One thing is respect and love. I always start off with any conversation and say, listen, I'm gonna coach you hard, but I'm gonna love you harder. And I also remind them about my culture is based off of family. Forget about me, I love you. It's always gonna be bigger than all of us in this room. It starts with us, but understand if you decide you don't want to do this, somebody else gonna be able to do it.
That's true.
Because we trust everybody else. This program still gonna go. When I go down, I think one of my coaches is gonna step up. So everything that we do is based off of that concept. So when they come in, I make sure they understand that. My culture is not for the me type. It's gonna weed you out. I say that at the beginning of spring. If you are a me first guy, this is not the culture for you. I don't want you. And the program is going to weed you out because I expect certain things. I expect you to be accountable when nobody's around. I expect you to hold each other accountable. So your character is going to stand out. I don't like kids that cause problems in the building. So if I get called to the office, that's a problem for me.
Wow.
So it's all those things that the kids know early on, and a lot of those personalities start saying, okay, I know coach don't play this, so they don't play with me.
Right.
They might do some crazy stuff that they know if it get back to me, it's going to be a problem. And my kids say it all the time. They be like, Coach, how do you know these things? When now I said, I do know a lot of people though.
Of course.
And I don't say it because, again, like I said at the beginning, I made some connections, but I don't voice it, so when y'all do certain things, people do call me.
Of course.
And I find out then they like, dang, Coach, how you knew that? I say, hey man, I just have my ways, so but it's And again, early on, being around those guys at Central taught me that.
Yeah.
You know, I started coaching, man, I was probably 3 years older than some of those guys.
Oh, wow.
You know, so, because I graduated probably a year older than I probably should have, a year earlier. So I was maybe, you talking about guys that were 17, 18, I was just turning 21, 22, you know, when I first started coaching. So off of that, I had to learn quick how to set the tone and be able to separate yourself, you know. Right. But I was blessed too, man, to be around good coaches at the time. Coach Walt Frazier taught me the ways, and Coach Telly Lockett and AJ Snipes and even Luther Campbell, you know, Coach Max Edwards. So those were my guys that I started out coaching with.
Nice.
So they helped me understand the difference of coaching as well. Man, so it hasn't been a problem for me. I've had some knuckleheads. Now, you know, but eventually the crazy thing is a lot of them get older now, and now they understand. They be like, Coach, now we understand why you tell us no slides in the building, you know, no hoods. When we come to meetings, we take off this, we do this. They understand it now as they hit their lifespan and they realize what it stands for, you know. So it's just those things, man. It's just respect and love, man. Yeah. That's all it is.
So, Coach Cox, there's going to be a viewer out there that wants to play Division I football, right? That's actually viewing this podcast when it gets released. You actually had the opportunity to play at FAMU, right? Could you actually walk me through the day in the life of a Division I football player?
Man, you talking about it so many years ago. It's so different now. But you know, my walk is not going to be the same as everybody else. Of
course.
Yeah.
You know, me coming in, I to be honest, man, I was a walk-on, so I didn't walk in as a scholarship guy. So my walk again is different. You know, I had to earn some things. I was on practice squad. I was on all those things before I got a chance to
even play
to do all that. So, you know, those things, man, you got to be able to deal with and be strong and be able to work. You know, you talking about fam back in early 2000, man. We come in, you know, we had weight room workouts during this time period. We were doing workouts outside. And also, too, my time was different because we was coaching transitions and, you know, Coach Billy Joe is who I, you know, was coming in on. And then we had another coach came in. So things changed. But so I can't say what's going on now, but you talking about understanding we practice at 3:00.
Yeah.
So we had class in the morning, and then we had to be in the facility by at least 2:30, get on the field by 3. We had meetings afterwards, and then you were gone. You know, so that was back then. You know, weight rooms was on weekends. We had a weight room on Sunday. That's when we had practice. I'm trying to remember, man. That's so many years ago.
How about film? I know film was in there too.
Film, we watched film. Like I said, we watched film as a group. Defense and offense. Yeah. Watched film. Special teams had their own little meeting. So it was structured, but like I said, it was so long ago, man. I'm trying to remember. But like I said, now today's athlete, a lot of them, they practice early in the morning.
Right.
And then they might have class after that, then they have meetings, weight room, you know, all those things. A little different now. Like I said, it's much different now, you know.
Coach, one of our biggest rival is North Miami Beach. I was at the game, and you guys, you know,
handle business.
Oh, of course they did. How was that victory for you afterwards?
Oh, man. So I got to set it up.
Right.
All right. 2 weeks prior to, I lost my uncle.
I'm sorry.
My uncle. So that day, we actually had the funeral.
Wow.
It was in Daytona. So we had practice that week leading up to it. I'm still emotional, still dealing with, you know, the loss, trying to figure out how am I finna do all of this. Like, okay, I'm not going to miss this game.
Of course.
I'm not going to miss my uncle's funeral. It's in Daytona. It's in it. So, you know, my mom helped me orchestrate some stuff. My wife rolled with me through everything. My young son, he was there. So we went up. I had practice. I think I missed walkthrough practice. I did the practice schedule. But again, I got coaches. I know they're gonna run it the right way. So they took care of that. We drove up, went to the funeral. Now I'm looking at my watch. I'm anxious now because it's game day.
Of course.
So now my routines have to be the same. So and I'm on the road. So how's my routine gonna be the same
when you're
when
not
I'm
there?
on the road? So my wife knows this. So she's sitting over there like, you gonna be able to think, you gonna be able to function, you gonna be able to do this. So I'm like, I got it. So I play my playlist like I normally do. I got dressed at the church with my little pre-game stuff. Got on the road, drove down. And as we got closer, I started getting anxious more because I'm like, okay, the game's happening. I got there before the bus arrived. So I made it in time. So now let me finish getting my stuff on, get out there. Now, we start our warm-ups. And I think I understood the rivalry then because prior to that, me and Brittany was cool.
Wow.
We had a respect situation. And no lie, when my quarterback passed away, Brittany was one of the coaches that reached out to me and said, man, coach, sorry for your condolences. And I respected him for it.
Right.
Prior to my time coming to North Miami, Brittany, me and him sat and talked for 30 minutes before our game when I was at my last school about what I was going through at that school, So I still got a lot of respect for him.
Of course.
But I saw the difference. When he came out, didn't have that talk. He didn't want to talk to me. Didn't want to shake my hand. Didn't want to do it. I said, oh, all right. So that's where we at now.
Of
okay,
course.
cool. I know I've been in this game before.
Of course.
I know what that's like.
Of course.
So once we got going, and I knew I had them down pat because I've beaten him before. So as a coach, as a young coach, all of us respect Brittany because he's one of the longest tenure coaches in South Florida. Mm-hmm. But Brittany is Brittany.
Of course.
So when you've played him enough, you kind of see and know what he has going on. So I knew I was in this game room. So we go back to that question earlier about coaches. When you got something, so when I'm sitting over there as a defense coordinator, and I start getting that little chill, and I start getting that vibe. I'm in my game, I'm in my bag, and everything start hitting when we start calling it. We on.
Right.
So I knew early on we were going to be able to do what we needed to do because the kids were focused. I was locked in, and I knew, for one, I wasn't going to lose on the day of my uncle's funeral.
Wow.
I don't care what had to happen. We was going to pull it out.
Of course.
I knew they was up there looking, along with my grandma who had passed away, his sister. So I knew they were all on our side. Mm-hmm. So when we went in there and did what we had to do, and got to the end, it was a little but I knew we was gonna pull it out, man, because our kids wanted the program wanted it. It was time to bring the trophy back. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and did it. For me, it was just a relief of everything that went on. So at the end of the game, you'll see on the film, you'll go back and watch it. I kneeled down like I hit the floor, because it was just so much emotion that was built up that I was just done
to release it.
And I was thankful because it was vindication too for a lot of things that myself and my coaching staff went to in the past. It was a culmination of two of what we had been building in the program for years. We hadn't played that game prior to it for what we played it last year. That was the first time in however many years we had played that game. So it was our moment to realize this is where we at with the program, man. So once we did that, and also too, the stands reminded me of what game it was, and I wish I could get those every game.
A lot of people came out. The alumni came out. A lot of people was at that game.
So when you had Coach Ray on, the numbers, that game total was almost 3,000 people. Both sides. It was almost 3.
Yeah.
Maybe close to 4. But it was the highest. It was the most. How can I say profitized?
Game
that rivalry is seen.
Yeah.
So And again, like Coach Ray said, it's a culmination of what we've been doing, our branding,
Of course.
marketing, the push behind the things that we've been doing in the community, trying to get alumni to come back. You see, I got the shirt on, the swamp with the swamp dog.
Of course,
so I'm trying to bring so much of the past,
of course,
up because the building needed it. The school as a whole needed. The teams needed. We have a lot of things going on. So that night just culminized it. It just made everybody realize, man, no, Miami got something.
Of course.
You need to come over and see it. And that's why I hate that certain media don't give the attention to it the way it needs to be.
I agree.
All they look at is those 2 or 3 schools, and everybody think that's all we got in South Florida.
Right.
That game should have been more spotlighted than a lot of other games that weekend or the whole season because of the rivalry, because of what it meant. So we should have had cribs there. We should have had 305 Sports.
Right.
Section 104 is always in the building, so I appreciate them. You guys are always there. So certain guys, I appreciate y'all.
Of course.
But the ones who these kids are looking at,
of course,
they should have been there.
Right.
But now, to a kid, oh, you don't play on the big stage. I played 3 games in Trash Pile.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know it because
they don't publicize it.
They don't publicize it.
Yeah.
And that's what the kids look at. So that's why you have all this mess now, but not realizing, man, we beat Booker T there at Trash. So when you talk about North Miami, now what can you say? We beat them. We beat people across town. We don't say them people. We beat them there. So now you got those 2 games that we handled up there. And then I played American there at the end of the year. Wow. So had 3 games there where we won all 3 games. But again,
they don't publicize it.
So now to a kid standpoint, oh man, y'all ain't doing nothing.
Right.
But you should have saw the stands that night.
Of course.
You saw the stands that night. We doing the same thing that those guys are doing at those games. Central and Northwestern game. Yeah, the numbers over there are going to be a little different.
Of course.
Because their alumni base comes back, though, more than our alumni base needs to come back now. So that's the difference. If our alumni base comes back, like you said, it's a lot of people out here that went to North Miami. Every time I put on some gear, I walk into a random store.
Of course.
Walmart. Hey,
of course.
I went to North Miami, man.
Of course.
Swamp Dog. I said, yeah. Hey, man, come to the game, man. We got a game this weekend. You need to come.
Yeah.
So the more the alumni come back, we can start having those games on a regular.
I agree.
But it starts with the alumni 135th. And that night, that's what I should have saw. Booker T game.
Of course.
That's what I should have saw. American game at the end. If y'all want to be in Trash, that's what we should have been because that's the closest stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been there. So those are the things that night show where we can be at 135th.
Coach, with that type of resume, you could be anywhere. You could actually coach in any team. Mm-hmm. Why North Miami?
Man, North Miami gave me a shot. And I say that because at the time I was in a dark spot. I was in a dark spot coming off of the last stop that I was at. Mm-hmm. I felt like myself, as well as my coaching staff, and even the kids, we didn't get the right opportunity like we should have. And it wasn't because of what we did on the field. It was what was going on outside of our control. There was a lot of X factors that caused that. So during that time, man, I was questioning a lot of things. I was questioning whether or not I was good enough, to be honest. I was questioning whether or not I still had a love for coaching. I was questioning, if I just had the drive to want to do it. And I got the call after, chose to go our separate ways at that spot. I got the call, and I actually turned North Miami down, right? Wow. They called me, it's like, man, why don't you go to North Miami? I was like, nah, because again, I didn't know whether or not I wanted to coach or not at that point. So about a week later, got a phone call again. And it was like, man, hey, the principal want to know if at that time he was like, it was one of my buddies. He was like, nah, man, hey, why don't you put in for the job? I'm like, man, nah, I ain't. Again, I'm still trying to decide, do I want to be a head coach again, or do I want to go be a defensive coordinator or go back to being DB coach? I could have went back to Central. got back on with them. I could have did all that, but I had some other meetings too. Then they called me again. And he said, the principal got to talk to you. So I was like, man, principal talk. It was early in the morning. Like, principal talk, Mr. Lacuti. He was like, just give me an opportunity to talk. That's all I ask. You got to tell me no in my face.
Wow.
I said, oh, okay.
That's a good salesman.
That's good. Okay. So I said, I called my wife, called my mom, prayed on it. And I think by the end of the day, I decided to send my resume in.
Wow.
Sent my resume in. They scheduled the interview. I went on the interview. I know for me, if I interview, I'm going to get a job.
Right.
That's just my mindset. I'm going to get a job if I interview. I get an interview, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to outshine me in that. So I got the interview. He called me back probably about a week later, offered me the job. I said, let me think about it. So I went in. My mom was in town. I went in with my wife. We talked. Me and her prayed. And I called him back and I said, I'll take the job. And he said, Coach, I appreciate it. You mind if we pray?
Wow.
I said, and I got off. I said, babe, he prayed with me. I said, ain't nobody never. No principals ever did that. I was like, this it. So that moment, I knew this spot was geared for me to have at that moment.
Right.
It was geared for my family. And North Miami helped me come out of that funk. So to go in our first year, win district title, we felt vindicated for all of the nonsense we went through 2 years before. And that whole staff I had at that school came with me.
Right.
And that just opened up. And so North Miami, man, has done so much for my spirit, has done so much for my family spirit. Man, I honestly owe the community a lot because slowly they coming on board, and me being able to do the things that I want to do with this program is similar to what I started doing at Coconut Creek. So I'm now seeing it versus starting it and then leaving. So I want to see it through. Like you say, I could have entered in my hat,
of course, in
a lot of spots this year, but I didn't, and because I got a good administration behind us, even through, I think since I've been there, this is now my third principal since I've been there, but every principal has been the same.
Right.
They understand that I'm here for them.
Right.
I'm a servant to the school. Whatever they need me to do, I'm there because I want to put 135th on the map.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. So until God tells me otherwise, my feet is planted, and I'm gonna do what I can there.
Coach, this is about the second or third time doing the interview. You mentioned your wife, and also praying. Before we got on the set, not only she prayed with you, but she prayed with all of us.
Yeah.
How is marriage?
Man, marriage is awesome. Man, I've known my wife now for going on 22 years.
Wow.
Congrats.
23 years. We've been together total of, we've been married for 10. Been together for a total of,
Don't get this wrong, Coach.
I got to do the math in my head.
It's live, Coach.
We've been together since 2003. So that's
24 years.
23.
No, 23.
He was about to give me in trouble. 23 years. So for me, man, this is my person. And she understands now the coaching life. But everything I do with this program, and my family's always involved.
Right.
My wife comes out, she does things with the team, talks to them about different things. She's their extra mom. My little son runs around the building all the time. You would think he could actually go to school at North Miami because everybody know him,
Right.
But man, she's just awesome, man. And I don't do a lot of things without, I don't do nothing without consulting her. because I know the ramifications of what I do, how it can affect our lifestyle and what we have going on in our household. And the more I can keep her at ease with what's going on, the better our life would be altogether. Because if my wife is not on point, man, the household is wrecked. And I'm not trying to go there. So I try to make sure everything is on point. But man, Terry Cox is awesome. She is everything, man. She's also an ELA teacher at KIPP Middle School, and she's the top ELA teacher out there. So, nice. So education, man, is big for us, man. But we also know God does everything for us. So at any point in time, we got any issues or anything, we going to Him first quarter. And we gonna do it together. Like you said, she knows me, and she know I might be nervous and I might start saying some things. So it was her way of saying, okay, God, He's told us how to act in these moments. So, but she's gonna always pray for me, man. And it's been some games, matter game this past season. A lot of people don't know. I was in my bag that first half, and I had exerted so much energy, and I got dehydrated. Yeah. I started getting dizzy and all the other stuff, and I felt myself. So I went to her because she was on the sideline, and the game's still going on. She's praying for me, trying to bring my anxiety down, calm me down and keep me where they can figure out what's actually going on. We found out during halftime that I was dehydrated, so I was trying to bring myself together. But that's how she is. She's going to always, bring me down, more so than I do her. Wow. That's one of the things as a husband I need to do better.
Of course.
But she's my calm.
Coach, we have a coach by the name of Pete Carroll, Seattle coach, 1 yard line. Super Bowl.
Run the ball.
Right? And instead of running the ball, he made a different call. Mm-hmm. Right? And the team got dismantled, and Seattle has never been the same. Mm-hmm. We just had a big game, the game. A lot of people blame the coach. Mm. How do you live with those decisions as a coach?
Some of you live with forever. I still have one I live with. And that's playing against Northwestern when I was at my last school, at Booker T. We were up late in the game. We kicked off the ball. They returned it to their, 35. We got a personal foul penalty, pushed it to the 50. It was 10 seconds left on the clock. Yeah, they're going deep. We're down to our third, fourth string corner.
Wow.
Mr. Tiger is the quarterback at Northwestern at the time, who just set a record at Western Carolina last year.
Yeah. Teron Dickens, right?
Yeah. He's at he's at quarterback. At this point, because I coached him in the All-Star game in 8th grade, so I knew what his talent level was. And I knew what Northwestern is. And I'm saying to myself, I said to the corner, I said to the defense, don't give up anything deep. Everybody stay deep because they have to score. Where the third, fourth string corner bites on the double move.
Wow.
Safety doesn't get over in time.
To Ireland.
Throw hits the end zone. We lose with 5 seconds left on the clock.
Oh my God.
So when you look at Pete Carroll and running the ball, you lose that way. Not running the ball, you lose that way. You look at Miami, that punt. Mm-hmm. Some say the punter wasn't at his right depth. As a coach, you're going to always take it more than the kids. Mm-hmm. Especially when you know you actually had it in the bag. Mm-hmm. When you know you got it in the bag, them the ones that hurt. Now, if you just get your butt whooped,
that's different.
It's different. But when you know you have it, it
hurt.
You know, and that one for me ate at me for years until I was able to beat Max when he got Miami Jackson. When he got to Miami Jackson, I beat him twice over that. You know, so that kind of gave me a little relief, but it still eats at me because that game would have changed everything I had going on. You know, that year. But to be honest, we lost a lot of people in that game too. You know, so when you make decisions again, it's off of what you have, your personnel. You know, if you again down to my third, fourth string corner, that means the number one guy, the number two guy, possibly maybe another number three guy is hurt. So what do you actually do? We're still dealing with kids on my level. These still 15 through 17-year-old kids that you depending on. You know, and some of them are better than some of the rest. So again, third, fourth string guy, can I really count on him really to make the play that the first team guy might make? No. You know, so how can you really take it? You take it because that's coaching. You know, it's not the kid's fault because you ain't put him in the spot to win.
Right.
You know, you knew that kid couldn't do that. But again, what else can I do? It's just everybody hurt. So when Pete Carroll made that decision, we don't know what they worked on all that whole week leading up to it. We don't know if that was the best play that worked during practice for them. So we don't know what all was, you know, worked on and what was the situation. The up front could have, you know, he probably felt his O-line couldn't make a push to get in. You know, pros are different. You know, they got all these analytics and numbers and all that stuff. They get away from coaching to me, but you know, I can't say he made a bad call because I'm not in that coaching room when they talked about things. You know, but now me, am I gonna run the ball at that point? Yes.
Okay.
I said it when the last game. I said run the ball the last time when Beck scored the last touchdown to put him in the championship game. I said run the ball then, but they was passing it.
Right.
Because to me, Mark was getting too many yards a pop. So if I have that, run the ball, you know. But you don't know, but that's Marshawn Lynch back there. I'm going to give him the ball every time.
Of course. And he was having a good game too.
Right. I'm going to give him the ball. You know, I'm not going to keep it in Russell Wilson's hands.
Right.
That's me looking at it on the outside, looking in.
Sure.
Pete felt like he trusted Russell Wilson to make the right throw. You know, and same with UM. They trusted Beck to make the right throw. So, you know, we can say everything when you're a fan looking at it.
But the field is different.
Ooh, man, it's a lot different, boy. Because again, you got the fans up there saying, "Do that, do that, do that." You got the coaches saying, "Do this, do that, do that." Now, you as the head coach got to make that call. So
Facts.
You got all that. You got that. You got the coaches. You got the kids looking at you. You got everything. It's a big game. You got all this, and the kids don't execute it.
That's another one.
So are you wrong? Are you wrong?
No, you're not.
You're not.
In that case, you make the right call, but it's just
They didn't execute
it.
But as a coach, if you care about it and you care about these kids and you care about the program, you know what we do as coaches?
Take it to the chin.
Man, it's my fault.
of course.
And that's what it is. But we still gonna get bashed in the media. We still gonna get bashed and all that other stuff. That's why I don't look at none of that stuff. Like I don't pay attention to nothing during the season. Cause the coaches, I had to tell them, man, stop telling me what I don't even know these people.
Right.
You know, especially me, I don't go nowhere. So a lot of people don't know me because I don't
Right.
I'm not an outside guy like
Right.
that. You know, I'm a family man. Like I said, 10 years. If it ain't somewhere with my family, we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Sure.
You know, but so when people say he this, he that, you don't know me. You know, and if you a guy that was coaching with me or whatever, and you start saying some stuff, you might get a phone call from me.
Of course.
But if you man enough to answer, that's another thing. You know, but other than that, man, everybody know, man, Cox a good guy, man. I don't ruffle nobody's feathers, man. I stay out the way.
So, Coach Cox, a question I have for you is, what lessons from football do you believe translate most directly into real life?
Teamwork, accountability.
Yeah.
Being able to do your job. Because no matter what you do, even if you become an entrepreneur, you still gonna have a team. you're still going to be accountable, to do what you need to do, and I think that piece is big. It helps you in life. And then learning just how to build relationships, because you got all these different personalities and you got to learn as a teammate. If you're doing it the right way, you have that brotherhood moment. You have to learn to deal with another individual that you probably wouldn't hang with outside, and those things help you in life when you're able to adapt. That's the adaptation and adjusting, because football the ball bounce a lot of different ways. And you got to be able to adjust, and you got to be able to say, hey, I can move this now. On the fly, you got to be able to adjust. Yeah. So those things, as far as life has helped.
Coach, we have 7 African-American coaches in the NFL. And we have 32 teams, and then I'm pretty sure everything across the board when you go to college balls. And how is it being an African-American coach as far as at a high school, right? Some of the resources that's available to you guys, or some of the spotlights that's available to you guys, as opposed to the other schools that have more funding, have more resources. Do you still find that challenging, or is pretty much the same thing across the board?
So I think that question might need to be not so much color.
Colored, okay.
It's more
about the program.
Public, private.
Elaborate on that.
Public school versus private school. Because every public school has the same resources. The private schools have more resources than we do. At least the ones that we know.
Okay.
We know those schools are going to, not the charter schools. I'm talking about the big public schools, your St. Thomas's, your Columbuses, those guys have more resources available to them because of this one reason: alumni. These private school alumni, they give back. Public school alumni,
they hold back.
They hold back. There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one. They hold back. So how can we counter that? Is by, again, like I say, coming back and giving back.
Right.
Those private school alumni, they come back and say, hey, man, we donating. I got to take Columbus because it's public knowledge. They had an alumni came back and donated X amount of $1 million to just the staff. Said everybody on staff get this. Who doing that in public school? We have the capability to do it.
100%.
But we're not going to do that. Why? I honestly don't know. I don't know if it's the difference of what they teaching in class. They telling them, hey, when you make it rich, you just come back and give us X, Y. I don't know. But that's the difference.
You don't think it's the disconnect as far as, because they probably have an alumni association, because we just built ours, right? We're talking about being probably 3 years in, where theirs been around for way longer. For example, you look at Carol City, you're looking at other schools or other colleges, right? Or, other private schools. Their alumni associations probably been more consistent or have been around longer. You think that's why it's there, or because there's a lot of the alumni who's not aware, or even if they wanted to, nobody's reached out to them, or even if they wanted to donate, they wouldn't even know how to go about it.
Well, I mean, that part of that is true, but the longest alumni association is Northwestern,
right?
As far as its makeup. But a lot of Columbus is not an alumni association.
Oh.
That's just their alumni saying, here you go.
Of course.
For athletics. Here you go for the staff. Here you go for this. They got together, a group of those guys got together and built up the whole football facility at Columbus.
Wow.
That wasn't an alumni association. So yes, you can get your alumni association and you guys roll it out. But again, even with the alumni association, what you have to do, stop holding it back. Say, I'm gonna give this. Like when I first got to North Miami, after COVID, that was 2022, I think it is now. Yeah. I came here, I walked every store in this neighborhood. Biscayne, right there on the other side of the school. Mm-hmm. I hit every store with my fundraising packets. Wow. Broke down and said, okay, if you donate X, Y, Z, this is what you would get. This is what you would get. A banner here, on the shirts, on our poster that we had. Put up the poster and I offered to give them posters. All I need to do is donate, because what I'm bringing to the school, nobody is doing. I take kids on a college tour that to be honest, nobody in South Florida does it like I do. The amount of days straight that I'm out, the places we're going. I'm not just going to Georgia. I'm not just going to Alabama. Nah, I took the kids to Ohio. Stayed out in Ohio for 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
Hit all the schools in Ohio, all the schools over in Pittsburgh. So the money that takes that, we went all the way up to Marshall, Maryland. Maryland was we went 1 year on the East Coast. Went all the way up to Maryland. That bus ran me $10,000. So again, when I hit the stores, I'm doing something for this community. I'm taking these kids some places that they've never been.
Of course.
We have a kid that live right across the street from North Miami. Never been to those places until I got here. Now that kid is a Division I player, going in on his second year now. But he said, Cole, I was able to check off my bucket list because of where you took us. So I've been in a lot of places. So again, when I go to the stores, I'm like, hey, I'm asking for these kids.
Of course.
It's not lying in my pocket. Because if like some people, if I'm lying in my pocket, boy, I'd be driving a newer car. I got a 2015 Tundra.
Right.
So with paint job that probably need a little touch up. So those things, man, for me, is the difference. Alumni at other school, if I go to them and say, hey, XYZ play, like you say, Carol City got a little different backing. Mm-hmm. They got a little, they got some celebs backing them.
100%.
So that's why they can do different things.
We have celebs too. The only difference is we just have to find them and get them right and get them involved.
So and get them involved. Like it's different ways. Like, and for me, it's not always monetary. You come talk to the kids. Like the guys that made it in the past to the league, come talk to them. Come talk to the kids and show them what they need to do. Come talk. I welcome everybody back. Even after the game against the people across town, I told all of them, I gave them my number, call me. But I said, you know what? I'm easy to find because I'm at the school every day. I'm at the school from 7:30, 7:20 to sometimes 7:20.
Right.
So I'm easy to find. If you want to come talk to me, come talk to me. Pull up. You know what I'm saying? Now come on a positive vibe. Now don't come on some foolishness. Because at that point I'm gonna tell you, hey man, this conversation ain't gonna go too far. But the ones who did, they came like a Sid. Mm-hmm. Sid came out. We chatted it up. We talked for a little bit. He did some good stuff from a previous staff. He was trying to get some stuff going with them. So we talked. It's some ones that did follow up with it. But then it's a whole bunch, of course, that I haven't seen since then. So again, when we talk about the difference, the alumni got to come and give back, whether it's their time towards the programs that we got there. Like you say, the soccer team is going to championship. More former soccer players should be there on Thursday when they play.
100%.
If you play soccer or even if you just been an NM, go support them. You know what I'm saying? Go support them because, again, this is you.
100%.
Whether it was the old school or this new school. It still was on 135th, no matter how you pick, whether it was the back side or the front side.
Right.
So those things are the difference. Columbus alums give back. Carol City, the celebs, they giving back.
Right.
Northwestern, the Alumni Association, we got, it's across the board. I just did 40, I was gracious to win 40 for 40. Well, we just donated $30,000+ to the Alumni Association off of that because we all had to raise $1,000.
Right.
So those things are you have the capability of doing. You just got to put things in place. People that's leading it got to do what they need to do to support the school. You know, contact the principal, Coach Ray, Dr. Volsi. Contact those people. You know, and you're able to do some things because we got a lot of stuff going on, man, at the school that the alums should be proud of. Thanks. You know, and the community should be proud of too.
I saw they had the BMX the other day. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, man. My son got mad because he didn't get a chance to see it. He saw it online. Man. But it is, man. So those things right there, man. Who else has the BMX coming to their gym and putting on a whole show where you got to spend you normally got to spend for that ticket $30.
Right.
So you got it for free. You know, so.
Coach, what now for you?
Oh man, what now? New district, new classification. So you know, we gotta put some things together. And we graduated a lot of guys. So I'm never gonna say we rebuilding. We are reloading. But that's the challenge. That's the fun part of high school. We got a good nucleus coming back offensively. Our offense is going to be out like lights out. Defensively, we got a couple guys that come back from last year. So we just got to put it all together, continue to do what we got to do. We in the district now. To me, my opinion is it depends on certain people in the district, but I think the district is wide open for us to do what we got to do. Our region is the region from Doom. Mm-hmm. You know, you got teams like American Heritage, Plantation, Norland, Atlantic is in there now, Northwestern. Man, it's a good 7 or 8 where to be realistically because of the longevity of those programs with their winning, rank wise, they are ahead of us. Are they better than us? Some of them might not be. But because of ranking and tradition, they're ranked higher than us. And when it comes to playoff seeding, they're going to get the higher seeds. So we have to position ourselves to say, okay, how can we make sure we're in that 8? Mm-hmm. If we're in that 8, we're good. Right. You know, so I'm in a process now of generating our schedule of teams that we're going to play next year. Some new faces, some old faces. Of course, that same game with people across town is still there. You know, so that's still.
We're not gonna say that name, right?
I don't say that name. So people across town, that game is still there. A good rivalry that we're starting up with Calvary Christian is still there. That's a good, strong team that I love the way Coach Hoser runs this program. So we keep them on. I would love to get Crop on the schedule, but they running. It's a couple people that dodging me. Right. They don't follow back on my emails. They don't want to call me back. They don't want to text me back. I don't know why. Don't know why. We live North Miami. Of course. We just want to play football. That's all. But so finishing that, I got to get some kids in school. Signing day is coming up. So I'm still. That's my main priority, man. Before everything else, man, I try and get these kids in school. So got a couple seniors that I got to get in school between the next month. They'll have a spot. And after that, man, like I said, I'm going on my 10th year wedding anniversary.
Congrats.
Appreciate it. So spend some time with my wife and my kids, man. And honestly, man, just live life, enjoy it, man. Like I said, I'm on this other side of 40 now, man. So I want to live in a lot of my legacy, man, and continue to see a lot of these guys that I'm coaching be successful. And that's all I want to do, man. Just enjoy life. Seeing my little one, I got a little 4-year-old that's real. And man, he a little feisty individual, man. He a little scrappy. He a little scrappy. So that the little dog on Scooby Doo. Yeah, Scrappy Doo. Little Scrappy Doo. Man, that's boy, he a tough one, man, but he's a good, smart kid. Oh man, he's getting into sports now. So good. I'm seeing me all over again with him, the things that he's looking into doing. My oldest one, he's going into high school. So hopefully I get a chance to coach him. And, you know, that's kind of my plan with him. He plays DB, so that's my thing. So hopefully I get a chance to do that, man. So that's kind of what's on my schedule, man.
Nice.
So, Coach Cox, when it's all said and done, how do you want the players, the colleagues, to remember you?
Like I said, my legacy, man, it comes down to how many coaches I've helped. Currently, I've off of my staff, I've had 4 coaches become head coaches.
Oh, nice.
To be this young to have that happen, that's part of my legacy. I like to think how many kids that I've helped go to school to get a degree. Not really. I mean, you do football, cool. I don't get excited about that. You come back with that degree, that's what I'm excited on. And honestly, man, I want to be able to build a program that when I leave, it still continues. And I'm looked at as a big component of that. You know, I come from those guys, Walt Frazier, Carroll City.
Right.
That's synonymous. You think Carroll City, you think Walt Frazier. You think Miami Central, you think Telly Lockett. Up top in Tallahassee, I coach under Art Withers. You think Gobby from his time back in Tallahassee. So I want to be tied with that. You know, I want to be a guy that was able to bring a championship to North Miami. You know, if God keeps me there long enough to do it or short enough to do it, however it takes. I want to be that guy to help the community turn around. I love the way the park is going, coming about the new one.
Yes.
I want to be able to be more involved in that if I can. It's on the back end now, but have some events come to this area that can help generate some money for the community, as well as just bring some notice to the area outside of Aventura. You know, so those things, man, I'm all alone, and that's kind of when it's all said and done. And I don't think I got that many more years of coaching, though. You know, to be honest, these grades are getting a little bit more detailed, but the way things are going in football wise, it's not what it was when I started 19, 20 years ago. The fun is not all the time like it was. A lot of coaches don't want to coach for real like it was when I first started. It was real coaching. Now it's just, let me get the best team, get best kids, put them on the team, and you're not coaching, you're not developing kids. That's what I've been about, developing, coaching, changing lives. That's what coaching was. That's what those guys showed me it was. So I want to, be able to leave that, and whatever God take me after that, I'm all with it.
Coach, before we wrap up, what message would you like to send to a parent who has a child in a program or who wants to put their child in a program, and also to the Alumni Association or any alumni that graduated from the school?
Well, one, look at what we've done. Since being there 4 years, going on 5 now, 85% of our kids, seniors, have gone off to school, going off to college. The other 15% we've helped go to firefighter school, HVAC school, military. So we got pretty much 100% of placement after high school. 2, North Miami is a B-rated school heading towards an A. So we talk about academics, talk about putting your kid in the right spot. Why not North Miami? Not to bite a hashtag. When you talk about coaching staff that cares about your kid, we feed them every day. They leave out after practice, they got a meal from us every day. We keep them out of trouble during the summer. We keep them out your household during the summer. They with us the whole day. Again, that's what we do on 135th. When you think about winning, last year We had a record of 7-3. Every year we've been there, our record has gone up. Every year. Have not had a losing season since year 2, which regular season we were 5-5. You know, we just lost in the playoffs. But after that, we've been one of the mainstays. No other coach, I'm going to take that back now because I got to give people their credit. It's probably 2 coaches that work just as hard as me as a head coach. I'm at just about every event to get better at my craft, better my program, help my kids get in school. That's what I'm about. You want your kid coached hard and loved hard, and we have your back, and we're not trying to go to college off of the back of your kid. That's what we got at 135th. But this year, we got some good stuff going on this year that's going to shock everybody. So you want to be a part of that? Bring your kid. We at the school every day. Well, Monday through Thursday now. I'm there every day. But the kids are practicing Monday through Thursday. So alums, if you want to come back, come holler at us. Hey, man, let me know. I'm easy to find on social media, Coach G Cox _86. The NM Pioneer Football _football. You can hit us up. We there. We need y'all support, alumni support as far as I got a college tour coming up in the summer. We need that support. Of course, kids come out of pocket, but y'all know everybody can't do it. So any bit of help for that, we need. Anybody want to help out with pregame meals for next year? I'm always open for it. You know, anything that can help the program be successful, I'm always for it. You know, but I need y'all in the stands when we play next year, because that helps our revenue piece in the school, which helps pay for everybody else to go do what they need to do. So the more y'all come back, man, the blessing it'll be. If y'all need anything from us, coaching, our coaches, just let us know ahead of time, because we all got kids. So we got to maneuver our schedules, man, but we'll be there the best way we can. If there's anything North Miami operated, we want to be involved with it. And we want to put 135th on the map. From the alumni to the future. We always locked in, bring the Swamp Dogs back, and continue to do what we got to do.
Coach Cox, we want to say thank you on behalf of Jules Legacy Enterprise Productions for coming by today.
Appreciate you.
And at this time, we want to take this time to thank all of our viewers and listeners who tune in every week. We want to thank our continuous sponsors, AZ Formal Wear, Gourmet Gathering, Chick-fil-A Miami Shores, and Comprehensive Health Center. Thank you, and thank you. Until next week. Swamp Dog salute.